If you're building a world and want to give it some flavor, it's a great idea to make up some foods. But if I'm consuming your game, your story, your world, I can't taste your food, no matter how hard you try to describe it. So the thing that will make your food interesting to me is not how it tastes, it's the story the food tells. And there's so much potential for food to tell stories, but so many world builders just don't. Maybe they don't know what the possibilities are. So here is my top 5 list of things world builders forget to consider when making up foods. Mistake 1. Forgetting foods that hurt. People are silly. We love eating foods that don't make much sense. Spicy food and alcohol are my favorite examples, but there are many others. Spices come from all kinds of plants, but a lot of them have those strong flavored chemicals because they are specifically trying to ward off creatures like us. It's supposed to hurt to eat a hot pepper, and that pain is supposed to convince you to find something else to eat. But not only do we decide to eat them anyway, not only do we condition ourselves to like the pain, we put resources and work into cultivating peppers that are even hotter, even more painful. We think to ourselves, this hurts so good, I just wish there was even more pain. And I'm talking about me too. I love spicy food. But just because I'm crazy too doesn't make it not crazy. This is nonsense. And then there's alcohol. Deadly poison to every other living thing. And honestly, pretty poisonous to us too. But we've got these mutations that mean we can handle it better than most creatures. And why? Well, that one goes way back. It probably started when our ancestors were still apes, and one of them figured out they could eat the rotten fermented fruit off the ground. Thug, what are you doing? There's good fruit in the tree. No, man, I like this fruit. Dude, that fruit is poison. Yeah, I think you're right. Sure tastes like poison. Oh, but it makes me tingly. And then instead of dying, Thog had lots of kids who generation after generation outcompeted all the other apes because they had access to more food. And also, since they were literally eating antiseptic, they were slightly more resistant to disease. And we've been poisoning ourselves on purpose ever since. Now, it's worth pointing out that both spices and alcohol can preserve other food, and that is a big part of the reason they've been so popular. We'll talk more about that. But for a lot of us nowadays, that has nothing to do with it. It's just a quirk of humans now. We like foods that hurt us. We love eating and drinking contests, especially the ones that end in pain. And no matter how bad a flavor is at first, we can learn to like it if we try hard enough. So make up your own foods that hurt. Invent foods that temporarily blind you, or paralyze you, or make you feel like you're freezing to death. Make foods that taste so bad it causes temporary insanity. Make some really risky, dangerous foods, and then make those foods into cultural touchstones. Let there be contests over who can consume the most, different varieties that are stronger and weaker, and people who just can't get enough. Mistake number 2, forgetting elevation. I've been watching a lot of cooking contest shows lately, and a concept keeps coming up. They say the food should be elevated. What does that mean? It's not about how good the food looks or tastes. The judges will sometimes make that clear, saying, this food tastes so good and it's presented so well, but it's not very elevated. They'll never say what they mean, but I can tell you, elevated means exclusive. It means pretentious, it means expensive, it means deliberately difficult to make or store, but most of all, it means hard for poor people to get. Food has been an indicator of class and wealth since before we even invented money. Just like clothing, fine dining has fashion. Trends come and go, arbitrarily changing just often enough to make sure the people who aren't supposed to keep up don't. Exclusion is the point. Have you ever heard of the Shed at Dulwich? It's a fantastic true story of a man who makes a fake restaurant with a web page, a phone number, and pictures, but no food, no customers, no location. He writes fake reviews online, and anytime anyone calls to make a reservation, he tells them, "Sorry, we're booked full." Word starts to spread, hype starts to grow. Everyone wants to try out this hip little restaurant, but not even celebrities can get a table. Except then some people start lying and saying they've been there and how awesome it is, until at last the Shed at Dulwich becomes the #1 top-rated TripAdvisor restaurant in London, beating out every Michelin star restaurant, every celebrity chef, everything. All without serving a single dish. Finally, as a great and last stunt, he invites some actual customers. He puts on a show, leading them blindfolded into his grubby backyard where he's cobbled together the barest minimum of a dining experience. There, he surrounds them with actor customers, each raving about how great the food is, and serves them microwave lasagna. Are the customers disappointed? No. They all say it's everything they hoped it would be. They attempt to book another reservation. That's what elevated food is. It's when the food isn't about the food, it's about the privilege of eating it. So consider adding exclusive foods to your world. Make a food that requires a full year of labor to produce, or ingredients so mythically rare some people doubt they exist at all. Or perhaps there are magical foods whose true flavor can only be tasted by the pure of heart, or the chosen one, or whatever. Mistake number 3, forgetting what food means. Foods can forge and recall memories in us like perhaps nothing else. That's why we name foods after regions, after peoples. It's because in so many of our minds the food can't be separated from the memories, from the people. You smell a particular mix of spices and you're suddenly 6 years old again, back in your mom's kitchen, and it's so vivid, so real. It's like you're really there. How could that food mean anything else to you apart from your mom, your home, your people? And if it seems someone isn't respecting that food enough, if they're not making it right, it might feel like they're disrespecting your people, your home, your mom. And so sometimes we get very defensive about food, about how authentic it is, because food isn't just food. It's memories, it's people, it's history, it's pain and loss, and connection and love, and family and home. It means something because it reminds us of and links together things we care about so deeply, and it binds us with other people who understand. So go ahead and make regional foods, but spare a thought for what those foods mean to those people. Ask yourself, who does the food represent to them? What collective memories are bonded to the food? Make food for celebration, food for mourning. Make a food that means a particular war or a particular tragedy. There is no richer seasoning for food than memories and meaning. Mistake number 4, forgetting the rules. People love making rules about food. Now sometimes the rules have real reasons behind them. Like, did you know that the gene mutations for digesting milk as adults are all less than 10,000 years old? That's really recent in terms of evolution. It's actually a pretty new superpower that only some of us have. Can you imagine the first guy to figure it out? Dude, Thog, what are you doing with the goats? No, man, you gotta try some, it's great. No, Thog, no. You're gonna have the worst stomach ache. It's gonna turn you inside out. But Thog, the goat suckler, didn't shit himself to death. Instead, he had millions of descendants. The point is, not everybody can safely eat everything all the time. And sometimes there are sensible rules which reflect that. But that's the exception. Almost always, these rare, reasonable rules are mixed and polluted with 10,000 completely arbitrary cultural norms, traditions, gut feelings, and religious dogmas. We think of some foods as dirty, completely divorced from where actual dirt or germs may be. For example, here in the US, we don't eat crickets. Why? They're bugs, which we think are dirty. Unlike, say, potatoes, which are often literally covered in dirt when you buy them. The truth is, it doesn't matter how dirty or clean crickets actually are. We've collectively decided they're gross, and that is all it means to be gross. Gross is a social construct, and in your world, it can apply to anything at all. And let's not forget religious rules. Religions know well the power of rules and food to create and divide communities, to make people feel as though they are one people, and to make them feel they are set apart from all the unbelievers. The more arbitrary the rules, the harder they are to follow, the stronger this effect will be. So make a bunch of cultural rules around your foods. The more arbitrary, the better. Make foods that can only be eaten at certain times, by certain people, or for certain reasons. Make some foods evil and others holy. Make foods that can never be combined, except when they must be combined. Mistake number 5, forgetting logistics. It turns out farming is a lot harder than hunting and gathering, but a long time ago just about everyone made the switch anyway. Why? Well, there were probably a lot of reasons, but the fact that grain can be stored and made into booze is probably a real big one. Food means a lot of things, but when there's not enough of it, most of all, it means the difference between life and death. and there's always a time of not enough coming. So the ability to store it is a really big deal. All our cultural beliefs about what food is good or bad bend and bow before this principle. Everything that can make food last a little longer has impacted real history and should probably impact your fictional history too. Until the Industrial Revolution, the sizes of cities were limited hard by how much food could get there before it spoiled. Anything that could transport food a little faster or keep it good a little longer meant cities could grow a bit more. One of the big reasons the ancient Roman armies were able to conquer the known world of the time was their wartime supply chains. They invented a very complex system of mini forts and guarded supply depots, reaching from wherever their armies fought all the way back to Rome. The main supply they cared about was, of course, food. As you might imagine, this cost them a tremendous amount of manpower, soldiers that could have been on the front line. And it wasn't even enough. Their armies still had to forage and take from the locals wherever they were, whenever they could. And yet, despite the cost, even that insufficient food supply provided a clear and enormous advantage on the field of battle. Similarly, the entire industry of canned and bottled food has been driven first and foremost by the needs of armies. So if your world has cities, give a thought to how they produce, transport, and store food. If your world has wars, every good general should be concerned with food production, transportation, and storage, both their own and their enemies. If you have magic or technology that can produce, transport, or store food, that should probably have a big impact on world history. And if the cost of those magics or technologies is really high, well, people will probably do whatever it takes to pay those costs. Actually, that sounds like it has potential for some very good world building to me. You know, they say dark humor is like food, because not everybody gets it. If you like dark humor, you might like the board game I made, Minions and Madness. It's a 1 to 5 player resource management semi-cooperative strategy board game where you're an evil genius. Did you know if you give your minions the powers of starfish, you can cut off all their arms and each arm will grow into a whole new minion? If this looks fun to you, please check out my website in the description. Either way, thanks for watching, and until next time, toodles.